Hey, what's up? In today's video, I picked up a computer off of Facebook Marketplace alongside an Xbox and a few other goodies for $400, making this my cheapest computer with a good graphics card yet. So I'm very excited to get into this, and without further ado, let's just get straight into this. I should probably start off with a background on this computer. This computer costed me $200 on Facebook Marketplace. A few other items that came with this computer, valued at $50 each for the other four, was a 750 watt gold rated fully modular power supply, pretty sure G-Skill DDR5, 32 gigabytes, 6000 mega transfers, an Xbox One X, and I don't know if I just said this, but an Asus gaming monitor. It was 75 hertz, but honestly for 400 for all that, it was a pretty good deal. And the graphics card in here is pretty insane. It is a GTX 1080 Ti, and for that to be in a computer for $200 is kind of insane, because if you go and look at the price of one online, most of them are above $200, so this computer was actually a steal. Now, I do have a plan for the DDR5 RAM. I'm not putting that into any of my flips, but I'm actually going to use that to upgrade my computer in the future, because I am currently running on DDR4, and I'd like to upgrade to DDR5, and I do have a 13th gen i7. It's just in a Z690 that has DDR4 support. So essentially I am trying to just upgrade. I want to do a mini ITX build, which I think would be pretty cool. I want to get into that space. I want to make my own case, but that's for the future. But this computer kept on surprising me, as it had a 1TB SSD, 1TB hard drive, and then an additional 500 gigabyte SSD. After taking off the motherboard, the CPU was also pretty good for the price. Everything was pretty good for the price. This computer had 3 Noctua fans in it, and I kind of just took those. That's going to be for my build in the future as well. This surprised me the most. I don't know how the computer even lasted as long as it did with no thermal paste on the CPU. But it was a pretty good CPU. It was a Ryzen 5 5600G. CPU made in 2020. Pretty good CPU. Right here, I just need to fully clean out the graphics card. I believe this took me 3 hours, but I had to clean every crack and crevice, wash it, brush it multiple times over, and no matter how many times I washed it, I just couldn't get it to look as clean as it once did. So I just left it in the condition as is, but it looks so much better than when I first had it, so I'm at least happy about that. It's not as dusty. Now, moving on to RAM. I purchased this on eBay for $240, 20 sets of RAM, $24 each. The one kit out of the 20 I chose was the Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro, 3200 MHz in white. I just thought it would add a nice aesthetic look to the RAM, as last video I didn't do RGB RAM, so I just needed to now. I got a RGB cooler to match the RAM, but honestly it's the only RGB cooler I have, so it's just a coincidence that the RAM and the cooler look similar. Anyway, you've seen this process from me before. I'm just getting everything ready to put onto the CPU cooler, and let's get ready to build. Getting straight into the build, I had to clean every single part multiple times over, other than the CPU, which was bone dry. I line up the gold arrow in one of the corners of the CPU with the top left arrow on the motherboard before pulling the switch down. Then I have to place the backplate for the CPU cooler on the back so that I can mount the tower cooler on top of it. I then install the RAM. You should hear 2 clicks. That's what you need. And then I'm going to install the 512 gigabyte Western Digital SSD I got for $24 on eBay. I got 4 of them in a pack. Right here, peeling off the sticker. And when I put these on, I make sure to screw each screw back and forth, making sure not to put too much pressure on one screw. I just don't want to destroy the socket. And then you got to install the fan, and that's that for the most of the motherboard structure. I guess I gotta go pick out a case. Time to pick a case, and whoa. It's time to pick a case, and I know I said I'm going to be trying to do a different case every single video. Just for today, I am doing a repeat of the Dark Flash case from last video. Next video, I am going to be doing this Cooler Master case, but for now, I think we're just going to select this one. Once again, I do love the look of this case. For its price, it is a very nice case, and that's why I just decided to use it a second time. It's affordable, it's nice looking. The Thermaltake one I got was also very affordable too, though. It was, I believe, $45, and I just got some fans and a little RGB controller for it. Right here, I'm installing the I/O shield. A lot of computers I buy don't come with I/O shields, so I was pretty happy to get that. Now, unfortunately, the EVGA power supply did not fit, so I did have to pull out one of my 500 watt power supplies from Aries Game off of Amazon, which I'm not too mad about because I could still use that other modular power supply for better things, I guess. Just getting this installed right here, and I got most of the cables routed to the best of my ability. I think the next thing we need to do, though, is drop the motherboard into the case, so let's just cut to that right now. I did cut most of the troubleshooting process, but it was a fight to get that motherboard in. There was the wires in front of the I/O shield, and it just didn't want to go in, but I eventually got it in. Screwed everything in. That top screw also took me a very long time. Right here, I plugged the USB 3.0 cable on the bottom, but I switched it to the top later on. Another issue I ran into was the RGB cable wasn't properly plugged in when I did my first initial boot, so I had to go back and fix that. Right here, I'm installing the Wi-Fi. I had to do it on the top, which I didn't want to do, but the graphics card was so thick I couldn't put the Wi-Fi card on the bottom. It's no big issue, honestly, but I don't prefer it aesthetically. Now we get to set it up, and this is the part where I get to power it on for the first time. So upon booting up the computer, the first thing I usually do with these ASRock boards is go straight into the BIOS and change the RGB to white. Make sure the RAM speeds are set to what they should be, and then I make sure that the USB drive is the first boot priority. Right here, I'm just installing drivers and Battle.net so that I can play Call of Duty as a benchmark, because I haven't in a while, and I'm getting tired of Fortnite. Right here, I am just going to the activation so I can activate Windows, and luckily that's where our sponsor can come in, Keysfan.com. Keysfan.com is a website where you can buy Microsoft Office as well as Windows license keys and many more. They are currently having a sale up to 62% off on lifetime Microsoft Office. The code would be ETH62, as well as most Windows 11 and Windows 10 keys are 50% off with promo code ETH50. Right now I'm going through the motions of adding a Windows 11 key to my cart and using promo code ETH50 to get 50% off. My favorite thing about this is you can do it with multiple keys instead of just one, which is a pretty good method to get Windows keys for somebody like me. I used PayPal as a personal preference, which I think is very convenient for payment. But yeah, links for everything will be down in the description below, and I would really like to thank Keysfan for sponsoring today's video. Now, I have not played Call of Duty Warzone since 2021, before Warzone 2, so you can't really bash my gameplay here. I am kind of chopped at the game, or I'm kind of cheeks at the game, so yeah, I don't. It did run at high settings, it also ran at medium. I'm on a 75Hz monitor, so I couldn't tell the difference between each playthrough. It all looked the same. Getting straight into the cost breakdown, as you know, the computer from the beginning cost $200, so I just divided the amount of parts in it by the number to get 18 for each, and you can pause if you'd like, but it ended up with a grand total of $204, and I think that that's pretty good. Well, I think I'm gonna come off with a conclusion. As of now, I'm gonna show you the stockpile of parts I have to see what we can do with those within the next video. So let me just show those to you real quick. So I already showed you was the RAM. These two graphics cards are pretty bad. I'm not sure if I'll ever carry through with using them. We still have 4 512 gigabyte NVMe SSDs, a 500 gigabyte SATA, 1000 gigabyte SATA SSD. We have a motherboard with a Ryzen 7 that has a underclocked issue. We gotta figure something out with that. And we have this motherboard. I plan on doing a build in this cooler master case. I do have a good amount of other parts, but I'm still not sure what's gonna happen in the next video, because in 2 weeks I am moving from this location to a different house. So I'm not sure I'm gonna have this much space as I did before. So I don't know, I'm just gonna crank out next video like usual and we'll see what happens from there. But yeah, I mean, that's all for today's video. Hope you guys have a good one. See ya.